talk about how you're going to create the container for your puzzle box. So the easiest way to do this is your puzzle makes a box, so you would want to think of a container that complements that shape. So we're going to go with a box. Now you know that your cube, your block puzzle is 30 by 30. So you have to at least make, if you make this your base of your block 30 by 30, that's the exact size of your model, 30 by 30 by 30. So we'll make this is the exact size of your model. Unfortunately, we can't fit something that is 30 by 30 by 30 into something that is 30 by 30 by 30. So what we want to do is give ourselves a little bit more space. And so if we make this box a little bit bigger, so let's say we're going to make this 35. So that'll give us 5 millimeters on either side, right? So 35, 35. So now what we can say is that we have a box that's 35 by 35 by 35. So if we have something that's 5 millimeters less all the way around, we can fit into it. So here's what we're going to do now. We're going to make this is what's going to need to hold our shape. So we're going to turn this into a hole. We're going to keep this off to the side for right now. Okay, so that's going to be, we know that we can fit something that's 30 by 30 into there. So now what you need to do is think of, okay, so that's my hole. What am I going to put that hole into? We're going to put that into our another box that's going to be our container. And we talked about that the maximum size that your box could be, I gave you, was 40 millimeters by 40 millimeters by 40 millimeters. So that's the biggest that your box can be. Now, real simple, what we're going to do here is this is our opening that's going to have everything in here. And we could even make this a little bit bigger because this is a 40 box, or I could make this box a little bit smaller if I wanted to. But as it sits right now, I'm going to bring this box over here. And when I bring it in here, it looks like it's going to disappear, but I'm going to use my align tool. And when I use my align tool, I'm going to make sure everything is lined up directly to the middle, front and back, the middle, front and back, left to right. But then I want to align this. The way that this is set up now is if I go underneath, is my box will print upside down, and I'll have this bridge that I will have problems with the printing. So I'm going to align it to the top. So now what that's done is it's brought my 35 millimeter opening up to the top. So I have 5 millimeters of space underneath here. Now, if I wanted to, I could even take this and make it even a little bit bigger if I wanted to, make it a little deeper. But I think that looks pretty good. So I've got everything lined up. I'm going to group those two shapes together. So here's my box that I just created. So I have a box that's 40 millimeters wide by 40 millimeters wide, right? And this box have is going to have an opening of 35 millimeters all the way around. Now, you have your next thing that you need to do is figure out, okay, how am I going to, what am I going to do for the rest of this box? So you know that the opening here is 35 millimeters, right? Is what we've got for our 35 millimeters for the opening of this box, right? So what we could do here, there's a couple ways that we can do this. I'm going to bring out another box. It's going to be my lid, right? And I want to make my lid, I'll make my lid nice and short, so it just sits right on top. Now you have a couple of options or choices that you want to make with your lid. Now remember, the max it could be is 40 by 40. So this is already 40. So if I'm going to make this, if I'm going to put something on top of it, I might want to make this a little bit shorter. So I'll make this 38, right? So that's going to make my box a little bit shorter, so I can sit this on top. So 38, and this is going to be, I'm going to make this 5. So 38 plus 5 gives me 43. So that's still going to be too long. So I could make my box lid 2 millimeters tall. So that would give me 40 millimeters. Now this will make it so that my box could sit right on top of it. Now, here's what you're going to do. So this opening here, remember my box, 40 millimeters around. So this has to be, there's two ways we can look at this. I can make this 40 by 40. And here's my box. My box would sit right on top of it. But what else I can do, and here's where this gets interesting, is my opening here. Remember, this opening here is 35 by 35 by 35. So there's two things that I could do here. One, I could raise this way up, and then what I would need to do is cut out another box shape. So I could put another box shape in here. So remember, this opening, this is a 40 opening, so I actually would need to make this a little bit bigger. So I would make this 43 by 43, so it's going to overhang a little bit. Change this to 41 by 41, right? And then I'll make this nice and tall here, and I could put this, line this up right in the middle of it. Let's line this up. Middle, middle. So that's lined up directly in the middle. Now what I want to do is, see, it'll cut a hole all the way through. I don't want to do that. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to raise this one up just a little bit so that this comes straight up. So I've got some model underneath it. So remember, we're looking at, there it is. So I got 2 millimeters underneath it. Now what I can do is, if I group these two together, I've created a top that is wider than the bottom, so that will go over top of it. So it will fit over top of the box. So that's one way that you could create the box top. And then you could go through and add different shapes or put a hole in here. If you're going to put holes in the side of your box, or put text, or put your name, or put other things like that, you want to make sure that you're at least, and then I could change the height of this. Maybe I only want this lid to be just a small lid. So I can put it right here so it comes over the top just a little bit. But you put your name on the top. You could do all kinds of things. Now, another option for a box lid would make a box lid that sits right inside. So we know right here that this opening is 35 millimeters. So what we're going to do here is we're going to make this nice and short. So you'll follow me here on this one. And we're going to make this 34 by 34. Remember, we talked about, if you're trying to make anything that fits into something snugly, well, actually we'll do 34 and a half. With tolerance, you want to make sure that you've got some space. So this 34 and a half is going to fit right in here. So we're going to move this out right here. And then what we're going to do is I'm going to bring another box in. I'm going to drop this, make this just a nice 2 millimeter. And this size is 40 by 40, right? So we're looking at the size of this one. So 40 by 40. So I'm going to make this the exact same size, 40. 40. And change that to 40. Okay, so now I'm going to take this one and I'm going to put this in here. And what we're going to do is I'm going to line this, use the alignment tool again. So I'm going to use the alignment tool again. And I'm going to align this so that it goes to the top. Oh, I want to raise that one up a little bit. Raise that one up a little bit so that it's going to be up a little bit. And we're going to align these two shapes. Align that. Align that. Oh, I'm going to undo that. Go back to the way that it was. Align these shapes up so that it's centered and centered. Okay, so now what I can do is, if I group these two shapes together, and I've got that one raised up a little bit, what I've done is I have created a box that'll fit inside. So this box will go on top, and this inside lip here will actually rest inside the box to keep it from sliding off. But the top will look like it's more of a flush type lid for the box. You really have two types of lids for your box, for your puzzle box. So this one, I've got a little bit of an edge that's just going to sit right inside. It's going to almost be a plug that plugs it in. This lid type will sit over the top of it and will cover it up. And you're going to make sure that your lid is nice and tight and neat. Add some customization to it. You can put puzzle on the side and text. Really add some flair to this. Make sure that any openings that you make, holes or anything like that, that your puzzle pieces can't fall out. I mean, the worst thing would be is carrying your puzzle around and the puzzle pieces fall out of the hole on the side of the box because you got a big hole in the side. So that would be how you would create your puzzle box, and you're going to title it your name, puzzle box, and submit the STL file that will have just a lid. Again, look at all these lids are orientated to print the best, right? If I flip this over, right, this is going to print poorly because I want to have as much of my model in contact with the build plate, which would be this blue work plate here. So this one here, I've got just the edges, and then this top part, if I look underneath, is elevated, so that creates essentially a bridge. So my plastic is going to droop. So you want to make sure that when you submit your model and submit your box, your puzzle box for this, that everything is laying flat on the work plane and we want to make sure that if this was my model, I would put my box lid right next to the box, and I would have just one of these. So one of these wouldn't be here, but this would be how I would turn this in so that my model is nice and easy to print, so I can print multiple side by side. So that's going to be a great way to make your box for your puzzle. Good luck.